Good to be with you this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross. Commissioner of Insurance Mike Chaney will join me in the next segment. Happy to be joined by the Speaker of the House, though, right now, Jason White, MEC Hobnob today at the Mississippi Coliseum. Always good to see you.
Good to see you, Richard.
Appreciate you coming by. I'm toying with the idea of, can we have a conversation and not talk about schools? Because there are other things that are going on in the state of Mississippi. I don't know if that grabs headlines or doesn't, but always good to see you. I want to ask you first, though. You were in Oxford last night, and Secretary of State Watson and I talked about it. Commissioner of Agriculture and I talked about it a little bit. I'm curious your impressions of that event last night as you kind of went through the hour and a half, 2 hours inside the pavilion.
Man, you were there, so and lots of your listeners were probably there and have heard, or were watching, like my folks were watching on TV even last night. It was just electric. Like, you've been to ball games or sporting events or things where the feel is different. Like, maybe the Rebels are playing somebody and you get there and like, oh, everybody's just kind of phoning this one in. It's not. But then you show up at some games and there's this electric.
Sure. That's
how that was last night. And the build-up to it, the students waiting in line, even in that bad weather. I think Mississippi put its best foot forward. Like, it was so cool to see that, for us. I used to think other folks were the old folks. Those kids looking at me last night like, who are these old stinking politicians?
That's a pretty good point, actually.
You know what I'm saying? So it kind of put some perspective on it for me last night. But seeing those kids fill that place up and be so energetic and engaged, to that, I would like to think when you and I were in college, maybe we were that, or I don't know.
At least some of the time.
At least some of the time, right? But anyway, that was the thing that stood out for me was just that feel, even before it started, in the arena and the build-up. And then the other huge kind of unscripted, moving thing, and a great testament to our people is when Erica Kirk spoke, nobody sat down. They gave a standing ovation when she came out, obviously, and you were there, and you saw the feel and just the great moment that was when she came out after Charlie Kirk's audio announcing her.
And to me, the biggest contrast, and I said this to Secretary Watson earlier this morning, it was not a sign of disrespect at all. But when the vice president came out, he gave his opening remarks. He got a great applause, and then everybody sat down. But right. I think in hindsight, it's like, what a powerful moment when you contrast those two things.
And unscripted, unplanned, like it just happened in this quiet show of respect and gratitude for what her husband.
And it wasn't just people standing; it was silent.
It was there. It was full and total respect and just that show of, hey, and so for me and all those Mississippians in that arena, it was really cool to see. Like, and hey, the nation saw it too, so it was just. I was like, hey, this is good stuff for our people.
You handle questions well. I can throw stuff at you, and you can give me a political answer just about any time. I am curious from your perspective, from your position as the Speaker of the House. You stand in front of an audience, and there is a microphone, an open mic, if you will, and a line of people coming up, and they can ask you anything they want about any position you have. What is your level of nervousness or unease, not sure on what's about to come?
Well, look, it's certainly not what the vice president's was last night. You were there. He was calm, cool, and how contrasting is it? And I'm not here to throw shade on the prior presidential administration, but you got a president and vice president now who stand before the country and before people and are able to answer questions and have conversations. And maybe that's what people are looking for in their leaders now. But last night, him standing there and those college kids lining up and open mic. And for your listeners that don't know, that's how Charlie Kirk ran his rallies and events. It was an open dialogue, open mic type thing. Folks could ask him any question, including probing and questions meant to create some political.
Forgive me for interrupting, but it was if you disagree, come to the front of the line.
Right.
We're going to start
Right.
there.
We're
And
gonna
this
start
is
there.
not about asking a bunch of questions so we can just platitudes.
Political softballs. That's right. No, these are real. But yeah, you think about a college kid, unscripted. You don't know what they're going to say. You got some would say the second most powerful person on the planet standing there, willing to have those conversations and willing to answer those questions. And some of them were very personal. I thought he handled them incredibly well, and kind of showed. I'm a big fan of J.D. Vance anyway, but he kind of showed the world a different personal side, the way that he was able to stand there and even indulge those students a little bit when probably other folks would have wanted to shut it down or come back over the top, because some of it he could have easily been not offended by, but taken aback by. But instead, he was very gracious and humble and did it, you know. But now there was a star last night. I don't know the kid's name that had the Ricky Bobby quote. Somebody somewhere is finding that guy, and he's going to have a lot of hits on social media today.
I think so. If you
have we got a name yet?
No.
I hope he doesn't run against me, because that cap would win.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny moment. He came in and said, "Hey JD," and it wasn't Mr. Vice President. It wasn't it's JD. What's up?
He's like, so good,
"Hey
Reese."
pal."
That's right.
He goes, to borrow the lines of the great Ricky Bobby, I have no idea what to do with my hands right
so
now.
So great. And the kids loved it.
And JD follows up and he goes, "Hey, half the time neither do I." Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was really good. Look, but those kids, I speak to the Ole Miss College Republicans next week. I'm a little intimidated after hearing all those questions from those kids last night. I'm like, what am I going to get next week? You know, they're engaged and know what's going on, and maybe we don't give them enough credit for that. But it was encouraging for me last night to see that.
I want to ask you about today. Hobnob, Mississippi Economic Council event, 3 events each year that they have with Hobnob, an annual meeting, and the third one that I can't ever remember, and Scott may get mad at me for that.
They have their Capital Days.
That's it, Capital Day. That's when you guys all come back and get ready to do your thing.
That's right.
Capital Day the 3rd. This merging of MEC and BIPEC and MMA, we've talked with Scott and those groups a lot about that, but I'm assuming that's not something that happens if the legislature, the governor's office, lieutenant governor's office is not somewhat on board and in agreement. Hey, this is something that makes sense. So from a legislative perspective, what does this merger mean between those 3 entities that support the business community?
I think it's extremely positive for us, and here's why. And they came to see us and was like, look, this is what we're thinking about doing. What are y'all's thoughts on this? Because we work very well with all 3 of those groups on their different issues. And you know, BIPEC's kind of more plugged in politically, more involved in races and that the kind of the blocking and tackling of elections and that kind of stuff. Whereas MMA specifically representing our manufacturers, and then MEC kind of being somewhat of an overall umbrella in kind of the state's Chamber of Commerce. So for policymakers, legislators, any given issue, if it's a big issue and pulling a lever somewhere, it's going to affect all 3 of those groups. So you got to go see, you got to get all those guys and girls in and talk to them about, hey, how's this going to affect your people, that sort of thing. So for us, it simplifies it and unifies their message in a way that it's easier for my folks to consume on a legislative level if they're all speaking with one voice. In other words, if this Mississippi Business Alliance is going to be the tip of the spear for the business community as a whole, we'd love it when folks have worked out their inner differences before they show up at the CAP wanting a particular policy or issue or to react. And so for us, it kind of removes a layer or 2 for us and lets them speak with one voice in a way that simplifies it for the messaging from them to policymakers when it comes to, things that we may be considering doing and how it affects business in Mississippi. So for us, I see it as an incredibly positive thing, and it lets them speak with even more authority and voice when it comes to what businesses want. And my members really sit up and listen when any of those groups want to engage on an issue. But when they're all 3 together, that heightens that awareness. We're
at the end of October, so 2 months away from a new legislative session. And people have talked about topics, and we know that school choice in this debate, this conversation about educational freedom is going to be very much part of this legislative session. Is there something that is on your radar that we, the media, the constituents, are not talking about that's going to end up being a big deal in this session?
I don't know. There's always one thing. There's always that thing, whatever it is, that pops up that nobody expected, that kind of takes the oxygen out of the room, in any given year.
Ballot initiative coming back?
Yeah.
Could that be it?
Well, there
Maybe
seems that's still out there. Citizens and voters still talk about that, wanting something reinstated. They think something's taken away. They want it put back. We've been unable to find consensus. That sounds like a broken record, but
I'm taking you down this road with 10 seconds before the break.
We passed a bill that reinstates it 3 times in the House, and we couldn't get the Senate on board with any of the different changes that we tried to make to find compromise. So
you almost made it all the way through.
We're gonna do well. You brought it up. We're gonna do it again.
It's my fault.
We're gonna do it again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for having us. Good day.